Hey boss, any reason you're cutting this tree in the middle of nowhere?
I like wood cutting.
Yeah, but why a yew tree and why here?
I like money.
You're making money doing this. Surely it can't be more than like 100K an hour. Wouldn't you rather do literally anything else?
I like wood cutting.
Yeah, I got that the first time. But maybe you want to try something like Zulrah? Muspa? You know, those bosses that are consistently millions of GP per hour? I guess that guy really likes woodcutting. Fellas, today I want to talk about making money. GP, if you will. There's lots of ways to make money in this game. Some better than others, but I kind of want to do this in a 3-part series that I'll make over the course of a month. The first part is obviously this video, which will be covering consistent money making bosses. Bosses where the regular loot table is how you'll make a majority of your GP, instead of trying to pull a specific unique for a fortune. Part 2 will cover money making with skilling, and part 3 will cover raids and expensive unique drops. And if there's enough want for it, there might be a 4th part that's a money making video for activities with no skill or PVM requirements. So when I tell you to think of consistent money making bosses, I'm sure that there are 3 that come to your head. And those are the 3 that we're going to cover today. Zulrah, Vorkath, and the Grumbler. Technically, I do think wilderness mini-bosses are more GP per hour, but there's no way to accurately check that because Piss Wizard 73 will be diving into the cave every 37 seconds trying to PK you. Plus, there's also Gauntlet, but I don't like Gauntlet. If you do, I've linked a guide in the description. Have fun. I ran a little poll on my YouTube community tab, and the results were almost exactly what I thought they'd be. Vorkath had 61%, Zulrah 25%, and Muspa 14%. The only surprising thing about this poll was that over 1,900 of you guys voted on it. That's pretty cool. Thanks for that. To start this video off, we'll get the numbers out of the way. And this is a very hard thing to estimate because I could tell you that you're making X amount, but you don't have a twisted bow or a shadow, so your profit is actually much less. So I'll be giving you a wide but realistic range of what you can expect. For Zulrah, you'll be making 1.5 to 2.5 million GP per hour. At Vorkath, you'll make anywhere from 1.8 all the way to 3.3 per hour. And at Muspa, you can make anywhere from 2 to 4.5 million GP each hour. With this video, I want to help you make the decision on which one you want to farm, or if you even want to farm them at all. So to help with this, we should start off by discussing gear. All 3 of these bosses are doable in all levels of gear, but let's make it super easy for you. If you have less than 100 mil in gear, don't worry about the Muspa. It's just not going to be worth your time. But if you have very minimal GP, like I'm talking less than 5 mil, the other 2 are very doable, but will improve as you increase your gear setup. These bosses will probably not be used to get you a twisted bow or a shadow, unless you plan on spending hundreds of hours here. But they are a great place to get your gear back if you've dumped them for one of these bad boys. Like, this is a realistic gear setup you could take to Vorkath that costs about 5 mil. Full Void, a blowpipe, Dragonhide boots, Ava's device, a salve amulet, and a brimstone ring. With this gear, you can easily double your 5 mil bank in one good day of grinding. I said it at the start of this section, gear might not be the most important part of these bosses, but it does make every boss much easier as you upgrade. But outside of gear, let's talk about mechanics. I'm going to start with my personal favorite on this list, being part of the 14%, it's the Phantom Muspa. I don't know why I like this boss so much, it just feels way more engaging than the other 2, but that might be the exact reason why people don't like it as much. I'm also in a great position with my account right now that I do have both a T-bow and a shadow, so it makes this boss much easier. The Muspa has 3 forms, and to keep it simple, when it's green, use range and pray range. Sometimes it will shriek and throw a ball at you, which you can block completely with Protect from Magic. When it's in its brown form, you can either run the octagon or try to freeze it and mage from a distance. You can also do the step back method here, but the other 2 are much easier. The Muspa has 2 special attacks in this form. If it starts in the green form, it will be this weird gas cloud phase. If you stand on this tile, you're 100% safe 98% of the time. There is a rare chance that a gas cloud will hit you, but it's very uncommon. The second special is causing some of the spikes to move around the room for a short period of time, but these are very easy to avoid. The Muspa will change forms whenever you do about 100 damage. You'll repeat this process till it gets below 125 HP. Then it will teleport to the middle of the room and let out a loud shriek. When this happens, you need to hide behind one of the spikes visible in the room. This attack works on line of sight, so you need to stand in a position where the attacks will not reach you. After that, it will transition into its shield phase. This is a lot of people's least favorite part of this boss. To get rid of the shield, you need to drain its prayer, and the best way to do this is with Sapphire Bolts in an ACB or ZCB spec. I personally prefer the ACB here since you get 2 specs instead of the 1 guaranteed. But if your crossbow specs don't hit, you'll need to flick Smite in between every attack. Hitting with Smite On will drain the shield. Muspah is very involved and probably the most mechanical of the 3 bosses on this list, but it is still very doable. After you do it once or twice, you'll kind of get the hang of it. Zulrah's mechanics, on the other hand, are much simpler, but there is more to know at Zulrah. This bad boy alternates forms based on 4 different cycles. These cycles are on screen now and show you where to stand during them. Zulrah's green form attacks with range and is weak to magic. Its red form attacks with melee, with neutral defense only being buffed against range attacks. And in its blue phase, it attacks with mage and is weak to range. But there is a little caveat. Sometimes Zulrah will go into Jad phase, randomly attacking with range or mage. This can be very annoying and wreak a lot of damage on you. There really isn't a good way to avoid this attack outside of simply killing the boss faster, but sometimes that's just not an option. Zulrah also spawns these little snakelings that will chip away at your HP, but they can easily be taken care of with a Ring of Recoil or Ring of Suffering. Zulrah will also drop poison gas on occasion, which you have to avoid preemptively. This one, just like Muspah, after you've done it a few times, it kind of becomes like muscle memory. Where to stand and where to move should just kick in naturally. It does have a bit of a learning curve, but once you get it, it's free. And finally, Vorkath. Although having the most attacks out of all of them, it is actually the simplest of the 3. Vorkath's mechanics are very straightforward. He'll attack with either a blue orb or a little whatever this is. The blue orb is a mage attack, and the strange object is a range attack. Vorkath can also melee you if you're standing too close, but for your budget setup, you'll always be ranging. He also uses all 3 types of dragon fire. If he shoots green fire, it will venom you. If it's purple fire, it will shut your prayer off. And well, regular dragon fire is regular dragon fire. His last regular attack is a giant fireball, which you need to click 2 tiles away from where you're standing to avoid. 1 tile away will still do a lot of damage, but not moving at all will likely just kill you in 1 shot. Every 6 regular attacks, he'll use one of 2 specials. The first being the acid pools. These will spawn across the arena while he shoots smaller fireballs at you. To avoid these, you just need to remain in constant motion. This can be done by just walking back and forth, or you can Woox walk. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not very good at it, so I just don't do it. Since I'm not very good at it, I've linked a guide in the description if that's something you want to try. But outside of the acid attack, Vorkath can also freeze you and spawn this little critter. This little fellow will explode on impact, so you need to kill it before it can reach you. The best way to do this is to just cast Crumble Undead on it. And this can be made even easier by bringing a Slayer Staff. The Slayer Staff can auto-cast Crumble Undead, so it's just 1 click and you're free. And now that we've detailed all 3 bosses, let's make an easy comparison chart so we can decide which one is best for you. Let's start with mechanical difficulty. I'd say we rank these from hardest to easiest. Personally, I'd put Muspah at number 1, Zulrah at number 2, and Vorkath at number 3. For gear requirements, again, I think we rank Muspah at number 1, Zulrah at number 2, and Vorkath at number 3. For unlock requirements, we have Vorkath at number 1. Dragon Slayer 2 is a much harder requirement than Secrets of the North or Regicide, but then that puts Muspah at number 2 and Zulrah at number 3. Profitability will vary based on your gear, but this can also vary on some luck. But I still think you'll look at it the same way I do, whereas Muspah is the most profitable, Vorkath in second, and Zulrah in third. And to close this out, I'll say if you've dumped your bank for a Twisted Bow and you really want to make some money back quickly, you should head to Zulrah or the Muspah. Both are very doable with a Twisted Bow and any random gear you can pull together. But if you don't have a super weapon like a T-Bow or a Shadow, Vorkath is probably going to be your go-to, even though it might be the hardest to unlock. I'd also really recommend you don't try to rush into these bosses. Aim for like base 80 stats, but maybe a bit lower if you're choosing to do Zulrah. But once you're there, dive on in and enjoy some GP. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be part of a 3 or 4 part series depending on the reception of this video. Part 2 will be making money with skilling, part 3 will be raiding, and part 4 will be a no skill, no PVM requirement video. Please let me know if that's something you'd want to see in the comments. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing, and a special thank you to my YouTube channel members, DTech, Dino, and Snacks. I've got nothing left to say, but I'll see you in the next one.